I'm going to introduce the Honorable Wendy DeWeese,
Honorable.
Chief Judge of the Circuit Court, of the Third Circuit.
All right, welcome everybody. And I just want to say to those of you who are hiding in the back, you're still going to get called on throughout the day. So you're not fooling us back there. Welcome to the second 704 training that we have put on in this circuit. I think the last one was at least a couple of years ago. 3 years ago. And since the first one that we did, there's been sort of a constant demand for updates and of the and redos of the 704 training, and it kind of got me thinking, like, why? And it's really heartwarming when I look out there and I see all of you folks from different aspects of the court system, and different stakeholders out there who have come because you're interested in this process. And it kind of got me thinking about, why that is. And I think it's because we care. And, sometimes we get a bad rap because we hear like, oh, there's too many 704s in your circuit and it's not warranted. And why are there so many 704s in this Third Circuit? And honestly, when I thought about that, I think it's because we care. Because you know what? The easy way to dispose of cases is just to plead them out, or to, not have any interest in what's going on with the individual and why they're ending up in our system. Pleading them out, the case is over, you're done, you can move on to your next case. As a judge, you don't have to see the person anymore. There's not endless review hearings and things like that. It really is the easy way out. And I think the reason why in this circuit we see a lot of 704s is because everybody cares. Defense attorney cares, probation officer cares, prosecutor cares, the judges care, and all the other stakeholders care. And it's heartwarming to me to see that. I don't think it's unlike what the public sometimes thinks, an abuse of the process. I think it goes back to all of us really wanting to provide the best for the individual who finds themselves in the criminal justice system. And so that having been said, I'm really honored to be here, and I'm really grateful to see all of you here. I want to welcome you to this CLE training. I think it's going to be a great lineup. I think you're going to learn a lot. And so thank you for showing up today. Thank you for participating. And most of all, thank you for caring.
Thank you, Judge DeWeese. So we're going to be covering a lot of information today, and we've tried to boil it down and make it easily accessible wherever possible. And so to that end, in your training materials, you have a copy of the agenda. You have a copy of various flowcharts. You have copies of the PowerPoint we're presenting today, and you have a copy of the table of contents of the new form orders. And then next week, we will be emailing to everyone a link to a Google Doc. So hopefully your email is included in the sign-in sheet and it's correct. That Google Doc will include the new orders in Word format. So you'll have a copy to use. And those orders will be uploaded to the judiciary website shortly in PDF fillable format. And the new form orders will be distributed to the courtrooms. So there will be paper copies in the courtrooms, and the courts will be replacing all the form orders. We're asking everybody to please make sure that they use the current orders, which will be dated July 2026, and discard any of the old orders. The Google Doc will also have a copy of the current statute, applicable case law, including the Clark decision and some AG memos that discuss that decision. And then lastly, the Google Doc will also have copies of today's PowerPoint. And we have a new tech in this room, so that's exciting. But I apologize for the black line on the screen. We don't quite yet have a screen big enough. So the first flow chart. is an overview of the fitness examination procedure. And this is meant to be an easy guide to be used kind of like a cheat sheet. If you're in the courtroom and you're like, okay, where am I? Where are we? And it also has references to all the new form court order numbers. So the first step in a fitness examination is somebody moves for evaluation. And I'm not going to go into these in detail. All of these issues will be discussed more thoroughly throughout the day today. But the first step is to move for an evaluation. Practitioners and judges need to decide whether it's a combined fitness and penal responsibility, or if it's a fitness only exam, or if it's an Act 87 exam for nonviolent petty misdemeanors. After the fitness examination, there's a fitness determination by the court. If the court finds the individual fit to proceed, then if it was a fitness only, there has to be a PR exam. And if they're combined, then there's a penal responsibility determination. If it's then there's a determination whether there's a judgment of acquittal. If the defendant is not dangerous, the defendant is placed on conditional release and supervised by probation. If the defendant is dangerous, they're committed to the Department of Health. If there's non-compliance with the terms and conditions of conditional release, then there's another procedure which is covered in another flow chart. If the defendant is found unfit to proceed, if the defendant is dangerous, they're committed to Department of Health. If the defendant is not dangerous, they're released on conditions. In both cases, the individual attends fitness restoration. And at some point, if they become fit, there's a re-examination for fitness, at which time the choices are dismissal and discharge of the defendant if unlikely to regain fitness. For nonviolent misdemeanors, a case is dismissed after 120 days for unfit individuals. And non-compliance with release on conditions is addressed in another flow chart, which we will discuss later today. And then if the defendant is unfit and they're a nonviolent petty misdemeanor, they're subject to Act 87, which we will discuss later. I'm going to ask everyone to please hold their questions, at least on this portion, because we will be discussing all of these issues more fully later today. We are running ahead of schedule. So I'm going to call the next speakers up to the